the still analyzer, you can see that there are 4 different ways to run numbers. Actually, there's 5. There's the cash offer, there's 3 owner financing offers, and then there's a bank or private financing offer. And we'll get into that in just a minute, but on the still analyzer, we can toggle, if I was going to pay cash, what does the numbers look like, versus if we were going to do owner financing. We always make owner financing offers, just because, we want to educate the owner on, all the different options that are out there for them. All right. Okay. So, and let me see. So now the financing inputs are where you're going to run the numbers and try to get the numbers to be at a 10% cash on cash return or higher. So we are always essentially, we need, for bank financing, we need a 1.3 DSR, and we need 10% cash on cash return. And that for us is a good deal. Okay. Now for you, you could figure out what your good deal is, but for us, that's kind of what we look at. All right. So let's go back to the bank financing and put it, now, whatever one that you put it, whatever one of these that you put it on is what the number's going to come out to. But yeah. So we came up with, as you can see, with all those inputs on the first tab, $300,000 is a 10%, it's a 9.49% cash on cash return. All right, 9.49%. So it's almost close to 10%, right? So we're shooting for 10% is what we're doing. Now you could change your cap rate. You could change your cash on cash to be whatever number that you want here. You can say, no, I want 20% cash on cash return. And it's okay, that'll change the numbers. If I put 20% here, then that would change all the numbers, change your outputs and things like that. But we'll just keep it here at the 10%, and then we'll keep moving forward. So and then we also, so the way that I run my numbers, just so everybody kind of has an idea, is we start with the cash on cash return and try to get as close to 10% as we can. And then we move over to the bank financing, and we're running our numbers, as you can see, at 25% down and 7% interest. All right, 25% down and 7% interest, a 10-year balloon amortized over 20 years. Okay. And that's kind of how we come up with our bank financing terms. And that came, as you can see, at 300,000, you're getting a 10% cash on cash return with these. Now you may get an SBA loan, right? We could always get an SBA loan and put it at 15%. Now, if you don't put, as you can see, it goes red because, you're not, it goes red. So, but basically this down payment is super important. How much money can you put down? And if you can only put 15% down, that means you just got to get an SBA loan. And then, you need to find a lender that will lend on that based on these terms. Okay. And so you could see, and then you'll just say okay, now when I close on my facility, what is my interest rate going to be? Is it going to be 7%? I don't know. If I'm going to close on this, let's say SBA takes forever to close too. It takes 120 days. So if I'm going to close on this in 4 months, are we still going to be at 7%, or do you think we're going to be at 8%? Right. And so you would run the numbers at that. So you want to make sure that you're always thinking ahead to what the interest rate's going to be, not now, but when you close. Now, if you have experience and you want to get an SBA loan, they could probably do 10%. I could go and get an SBA loan with 10% down. And, and then my interest rate would be good as well, too, because I have experience. But if you don't have any experience, then run your numbers for an SBA loan at 15% and a conventional loan at 25%. Right. And it may be 8% for, a conventional loan, because banks are just being ultra conservative right now. So it's somewhere between 7 and 8. Maybe it's at 6.5, in 4 months, maybe the Fed pivots and everything looks great. But I would kind of be as conservative as possible for right now. Okay. And then as you can see here, and so what we try to do is what we offered for the owner financing terms. See, the bank financing terms, you have to get that 1.33 DSR. Now, some banks are okay with maybe 1.2, but you want to get between 1.2 to 1.3 DSR is really what you want to get if you're doing the bank financing, right? Owner financing is different. Who cares about the DSR, right? So basically a lot of times we'll entice the owner with higher offers for owner financing. So you can see here we came in at 350,000, and we did 10, 15, and 20% down and we always do less interest rate, more money down, more interest rate, less money down. That's kind of how we do it. And obviously this is in red, so you can see that the mortgage must be less than $2,000 a month. The actual cash on cash is 12%. So at $350,000, your cash on cash is a little bit over 10%, right? If you can do so. That's why we kind of pushed it. We pushed the numbers a little bit is what we did. Okay, so and that's how we come up with the owner finance terms. Our typical terms are 10-year balloons amortized over 20 years, right? And then we can show the owner that we're going to be coming up with like, $30, $50, $70,000 down payment. And then they'll get a monthly payment of, anywhere from $1,700 to $2,000 a month, depending on what they do. And these are always negotiable. And we put that into the offer letter as well, too. Like we're just showing you like some terms here. And, we could just run any numbers really. There's a million different ways to run this. Now, the question is, would you pay more for this deal? Because the owner is saying that this is like far from what the offer should be, that the offer is, too low, way too low, and we're way off. All right. So, the question is, what would we offer this? We'll dig into that a little bit deeper.